This is a 2003 Nissan Xterra. We're going to be changing out the rear suspension shock. I'm under the vehicle. On the driver's side you'll see the nut here, and there's one all the way up top. Before you jack up the car, just loosen these nuts. You're going to need a 17mm socket wrench. Also, I would apply WD-40 to the nuts. If you can do it the night before, let it soak in, spray it generously. Okay, support the vehicle with the jack stand, and as you can see, I loosened the nut to the point where I can hand take it off. Notice the washer will be coming off as well. You can see that there's a washer there, and you'll be removing that, but note that that'll be the position when you put the new part on, the washer and then the nut. And that goes for the top and the bottom. Okay, this is what the nut looks like when you take the shock off. I do want to tell you I needed a crowbar to wiggle it off of that mount. Now it's just hanging freely from the top. If you can see that, I'm going to just wiggle that off, and I should be able to get the new one back on. I did apply a generous amount of WD-40 to both so that the rubber from the old shock would be able to wiggle off of this mounting nut. This is the old shock. I got it off, and that's the new shock that I got manufactured. This piece will come off. Now use a razor knife to get this part off. As you can see, the shock is starting to expand all on its own. That's for packaging purposes that they attach this. So now it's fully expanded. When you assemble it, you want to make sure that this cap is in the up, pointing down. You don't want to install a shock with this cap or cup in the down position, because it'll collect all the water from the rain and the road debris, and you deteriorate your shock very dramatically. So remember to assemble with this cup in the up position. Now I've already put the new shock back on the top mount. Went on very easily. Now it's fully extended, the shock, so it's going to require a little muscle to put it on the bottom mount. If you can see that right down there. So I have a couple inches to push on, and it doesn't require too much muscle power, just to let you know, but I am going to have to put the camera down to get under it with my hands. I do want to mention that the kit does come with new nuts, but they did not come with new washers, so please use the old washers, and remember to put the washer back on the top and then the fresh nut on that before you put the bottom piece back in place. Alright, so I got the bottom part on, and I do want to mention that the washer has a curve to it. It's not perfectly flat. So the curve, the shape arch was faced out. So when you put it on, it went like this. Not like that. So make sure you put it on exactly how it was when you took it off. So now I have the washer and the new nut in position. If you can see on the top, the same thing. I'm going to slowly tighten these up. Alright, the nuts are tightened on both top and bottom. I think the total time took me to do that one side about a half an hour. Alright, now we're going to work on the other side. The passenger side's a little different. It does have the suspension components that are kind of blocking it a little bit, so it might be a little more tricky. What you want to do with your jack is this bracket here is where you want to place it under and raise the car. I did loosen the nuts on the tire to take that off, and I did order my parts online, manufacturer Nissan part. Okay, we're going to start to back out the nut. You want to take this nice and easy and back it out slowly so you don't strip or heat up that joint too quickly. Now with the passenger side, I almost had to position myself outside of the car to get the wrench to the top nut. I would definitely recommend removing the tire so you have better access, and then we're going to have to deal with removing this, as this might be interfering with that removal. We're just backing out the nut. Final stages, I already got the top one off. And once this is done, because of the condition, I would probably say I'm going to be using the pry bar again. And I would wedge it, sorry about that. I wedge it in here and start prying it away from the shaft. So here you can see I'm using the pry bar to pull the top away from the shaft, and this was much easier than I expected with the pry bar. Just jimmy it in there and it should slide off of that shaft. Well, I was able to get the shock off without removing any of the suspension components. What I had to do was disconnect it from the top shaft, squeeze down on the shock so it would collapse, and then maneuver it around the spare tire into this area, you know, swing it down to be able to clear the bottom part, get clearance. Once that was done, squeezed the shock together and pulled it out through this area of the wheel well. So I guess the reversal would be the same. I'm going to start with the bottom nut, mounting it, bypassing this bar, and swinging it up into position for the top bracket, which is just behind this and your wheel well on the opposite. Alright, this will give you an idea of how I did the removal. This is the new shock. Again, the cup is always in the up position so that water can't get inside the shock. It's mounted already, at least inserted, into the shaft. Now it's resting comfortably against the tire. I'm going to squeeze this together and swing it up to mount it to the bolt that's right behind on the opposite side here. Now remember, there is a washer and it's shaped in a cup, so you want it to go this way on the shaft. Okay, and they provided you with new nuts. So now that nut is interesting too, because it has a dome shape and then the flat always goes in, and the dome is on the out. From underneath the car, I was able to squeeze this together, release it from the tire, swing it into place, and get it on the shaft. Now all I have to do is put the washer on and the nut, and then tighten everything up. Both nuts are on and they're tightened to the maximum. And also the top one. You can see that. Alright, the camera. Alright, we're done. This side took about half hour, just like the other side.